Welcome to the Arrington Gavin Show. Real talk, big opinions, and fearless conversations. From the front lines of politics to the latest in pop culture. From breaking sports headlines to the stories that move the world. Nothing's off limits, and nobody's holding back. Arrington Gavin is here to break it down, build it up, and keep it all the way real. So turn it up, lean in, and let's get into it. This is the Arrington Gavin Show.
What is going on, my friends? Welcome to another great episode of the Arrington Gavin Show, your go-to spot for sharp insights, bold opinions, and unfiltered takes on the biggest stories of the day, whether it's politics, sports, pop culture, or the latest buzz. Look, we're diving deep and keeping it real. So do me a favor, kick back, stay informed, and get ready to join the conversation. Family, on today's conversation, I'm so honored to welcome back Lieutenant Governor-elect for this great state of Virginia, Ghazala Hashmi. Last time she was on, she was candidate. She was still currently finishing her term as a Virginia state senator, but she was candidate for Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. She has won an historic race, and I mean, we will talk more about it because the ticket down ballot was historic, but she had a historic win, becoming the first Muslim woman elected in statewide office in American history. Let me again say that in American history, not Virginia, not just Virginia, but American history. So it was a huge historic win for her and a historic win for this nation and Virginia. It was a historic race, as I mentioned, down ballot. So honored to have her back on. I know she's extremely busy, so I'm very privileged and honored to have her back on the show because she's been everywhere. So I'm so happy that she is joining us to just follow up of that night, and then what's the current plans for Virginia, as well as discuss the wins in Virginia really impacted this nation, and everybody was talking because these were midterm, these were off-year elections. We still have midterms, so it's a lot happening right now in our political climate. So you guys are going to be in for a treat. As always, my friends, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to tune into the Arrington Gavin Show. For those who happen to be watching us right now on YouTube, do me a favor, like, subscribe, share with a friend, share with family. We want to continue that momentum. We want to continue to grow our subscribers, viewerships, but also just the message. We want to continue to spread the narrative of great conversation, because the more you know, the more you grow, and knowledge is power. We've all heard it time and time again. And I come across a lot of folks, not a lot, but just I'll come across some folks that are unaware of what goes on in their local community, what goes on in state government. Also, they're aware of somewhat of what happens on the federal side, because we're continuously watching what we see on our TV screens, but people skip over state government and local government. So that's why when we had first started the segment, what's the role and why is it important, it was to educate not just myself, but also our listeners here on the different positions in public office. We started off on the school board level, all the way up. I believe we completed through the state government. Now we're currently in the federal government position. Let me see. I think we're on judicial branch. So, because as you know, it's 3 branches of government: executive, legislative, and judicial. That goes on the federal, state, and local level. So that's why I'm very passionate about having great conversation. I'm passionate about having fun as well, but also informing folks, because I myself, I'm fascinated with politics, and I'm still a student. I'm a forever student, right? I'm always learning each and every day on local office, public state office, as well as on a federal level, what's going on in Washington. So again, I appreciate y'all for continue to support us. In addition to watching us on YouTube, you can also check us out on Goatverse TV. That's right. We're available on the streaming app Goatverse TV. Ways you can tune into that is by simply downloading the app. It's available on the App Store, Google Play Store, Roku, as well as Amazon Fire TV. We're going to fast forward to if you prefer to just listen to us on the go, you can listen to us wherever you get your podcast. We're available on all major podcast platforms, as well as on the radio airwaves. Shout out to our family out in New Orleans by way of WBOK 1230 AM. What New Orleans is talking about You can tune into the Arrington Gavin Show weeknights at 7 p.m. Central Time. Again, that's only on WBOK, 12:30 a.m., what New Orleans is talking about. And then we're going to head over to the Houston area to Afro Vibes Radio. You can tune into the Arrington Gavin Show Mondays at noon Central Time. And again, that's only on Afro Vibes Radio. And then lastly, we're going to head over to the Metro Atlanta area to WDJY 99.1 FM, Straight Talk. You can tune into the Arrington Gavin Show weeknights at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, that's only on WDJY 99.1 FM, Straight Talk. Now, look, my friends, I want to, before we head to a quick commercial break, I want to play you this soundbite here. Hold tight as I pull this up. Give me a second. Here. Let's see.
We've made history yet again, not just by winning this primary, but by declaring with one voice that Virginia is not going to be bullied or broken or dragged backwards by the chaos that's unfolding in Washington. Let's be clear. The threats are growing. In Washington, we've got extremists who are working overtime to strip away our freedoms, to control our bodies, to silence our votes, to divide us by race and by faith and identity. They want to bring that chaos here. We are not going to let them. No, we're not.
And my friends, I bring up this soundbite here for those who are watching this clip. Now that was during the primary season when then Virginia State Senator Ghazala Hashmi won the Democratic primary for lieutenant governor here in Virginia. Now I play that because let me tell you something. That same energy, when my wife and we had the opportunity to attend a Spanberger rally in Norfolk over at the Chartway Arena, and I'll be honest, I don't attend rallies. I really don't. Now she had a special guest. You might have heard of him. His name is Barack Obama. You might have heard him. And so for that, I'm like, I think I'm gonna attend this rally, and not to ignore that Spanberger, who was then a former congresswoman, the candidate for governor, because at the end of the day, I want to hear. I attend functions to hear from all candidates, so I attend multiple functions throughout this election cycle, and so going there, and you had current officials, you had folks in different positions, and then you had Senator Hashmi hit the stage. Now, my wife is not a political junkie like myself, right? I enjoy it. My friends always say, "Oh my gosh, how can you watch every single?" Look, I watch it all. I read it all. I'm fascinated with it. I enjoy it. So my wife is the opposite. She's probably been to maybe one or two political functions in the past, and she's like, "Can I please go home? I got to get out of here." So when she was she was in all the whole entire time, but when Senator Hashmi, Lieutenant Governor elect Hashmi hit the stage, my wife was glued. I'm talking glued just the whole entire time, and she was so fired up after hearing Lieutenant Governor elect then State Senator Hashmi speak, and I think that's what America has been looking for quite a while in my opinion, right? We're waiting for that passion hitting issues that really target the majority of Virginians, but also folks across this nation. Because look, even though we had the elections were happening just in the state of Virginia, all states, the whole nation was watching, and we'll talk a little bit about that more here on the program. So look, we're going to head to a quick commercial break. When we come back, I'm honored to have on Lieutenant Governor elect Ghazala Hashmi on with us. So please, my friends, do not go anywhere. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks. You're listening to the Arrington Gavin Show.
Every man has a story to tell. Your ambitions, your achievements, your legacy. Your suit should reflect that story, crafted precisely, designed for impact, and tailored exclusively for you. We work with only the finest fabrics, luxurious wools, silk, linen, and blends from world-renowned mills in Italy, the UK, and India. These fabrics are the foundation of custom suits that exude elegance and stand the test of time. But a suit isn't just about fabric, it's about fit and it's about confidence, and it all starts with you. When you work with me, you'll receive a personalized consultation, whether in person or over Zoom. Together, we'll explore your vision and discuss your needs, and we're gonna bring your ideas to life. My journey as a designer includes apprenticing under New York-based designer Clavon Leonard, showcasing collections at New York Fashion Week, Algeria Fashion Week, and the prestigious Baltimore Met Gala. That experience is what we bring to every suit we create, from weddings to corporate events and everything in between. We specialize in crafting one-of-a-kind suits for life's most significant moments. Dapper Luke has been recognized as one of Baltimore's best menswear in 2023, and I was honored to be one of the 10 designers selected for the prestigious Baltimore Met Gala. With over 900 satisfied clients, we proudly serve Virginia Beach and Baltimore, bringing world-class designs to these incredible communities. We don't just make suits, we craft confidence. Your suit will fit your body, your style, and it will tell your story. Book your free online personal consultation today. Visit www.dapperluke.com.
Ghazala Learning Institute, LLC, is a hybrid learning center that strives to educate adults and children in all fields. During the day, we offer programs that are focused on developing students from pre-K to 12th grade, which includes tutoring, homeschool co-op, an after-school program, SAT, ACT prep, and many more engaging academic programs. Our adult education programs include workforce trainings, GED prep, life coaching, various seminars, and many more. Our vision is to train and educate in a positive way that will lead to a positive change in the world, one person at a time. For more information, visit us online at GhazalaLearningInstitute.com or call us at 757-208-7407.
All right, my friends, welcome back to the Arrington Gavin Show. As I mentioned earlier, I am thrilled to have on a very special guest, Lieutenant Governor, Virginia Lieutenant Governor-elect Ghazala Hashmi. Let me go ahead and bring her on. Hello, my friend. How are you doing today?
Well, good morning. So wonderful to see you again, Arrington.
Oh, it's pleasure is all mine. I just want to congratulate you on a historic win. I mean, this was a long fought race. You've mentioned the previous time you were on the amount of hours you were hitting the road around Virginia, and you know, a lot of folks know it's difficult because I've been around folks running for just local office in the cities, and I know how intense that is. So I could imagine running for a full statewide position is very is a lot. I just want to ask, how was the feeling on election night again to see that Virginians said, okay, look, we have to go in the right direction, and they chose they showed your name on the screen, projected the winner. How was that feeling? Just kind of, if you could recap election night for our audience.
Well, that night was just incredible. We went in thinking that we would have a fairly long night, that we would see results maybe around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. We were prepared to be watching for all the returns to come in. And the fact that they came in so quickly, that we knew Virginia's vote at such rapid speed, sent a really loud and clear signal about the direction that Virginia wants us to go in. And it was just tremendous, and especially to win the race by double digits, by just over 11 points. I just felt increasingly reassured throughout the evening, and the exhilaration at the election night watch party was extraordinary, just very gratifying and humbling to see the kind of response that we received from Virginians all across the Commonwealth.
I mentioned earlier you making history yet again. I mean, you're used to this. I would say you are very used to this. You are the first Muslim woman elected in the statewide office in American history, not just Virginia history, but American history. How is that, how would you say for you that feeling is, and do you see, are you more honored the fact that, look, you hope to not be the last, you are the first, but hope to not be the last? How big of a moment for is that for you?
Well, Arrington, it really proved what I set out to prove. When I first decided to run for office in 2019, after spending most of my professional life in the college classroom, I decided to run in response to the bigotry, the xenophobia, and frankly, the Islamophobia that Donald Trump had come into office in 2016. And I wanted to shatter stereotypes. I wanted to make sure that every Muslim child in this country knew that he or she belonged in this country and had an important voice and a presence and representation. And so this particular election, what we accomplished last week, really helped to solidify what I had tried to run on in 2019 for the first time. And that was to represent the full diversity of Virginia and also the full diversity of America, so that we understand that this nation is a complex one. It's built by so many different immigrant communities, and that every person has a perspective and a perspective to offer to this nation, and so much to offer to this nation. And so seeing the results last Tuesday helped me to confirm that effort. And it was especially humbling after the election night. I've just received an outpouring of support from so many people, not just around Virginia or the country, but frankly from around the world. And a common message that so many people have been using is that our elections in Virginia have restored hope for their idea of what democracy is and what America represents. And most especially, so many young women of diverse cultures and faith traditions and identities have been reaching out, and they really see hope and possibility for themselves and their dreams. And that especially has been really gratifying for me.
I'm gonna stick with that word hope, but I'm gonna hold that right there and remind folks, not only was a historic win in the lieutenant governor's race, but also the gubernatorial and the AG race. So you had former Virginia Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger also become the first. She became the first woman elected as governor here in the state of Virginia. And then you had Jay Jones winning the attorney general's race, becoming the first African American to win that race. So again, historic on across that ticket. And as you mentioned, I'm going back to hope. Hope is what I think folks from all sides of the aisle is in need for, and it's a cry for just for hope. We're seeing right now, that we went through a record long government shutdown, 40 days, I believe 40 to 41 days, that has ended, but will come back to the table in January. So folks are still very nervous. They're happy. Government workers and federal workers are happy to receive their money after working for 40 days, for nothing. And now that they are, now that they're saying, oh well, we have to come back to the table in January, a lot of folks are nervous. And just want to remind our audience here, in the state of Virginia, Virginia has a lot of federal workers. We're a military state, or at least I know Hampton Roads, the military town, but majority of Virginia is government workers. And so that hope is what folks are really pushing for. And I think Virginia's elections have spoke across not just the state of Virginia, but across the country, because you're also seeing an adjustment, I would say, on the Democratic side with, okay, what leadership are we doing? Back and forth. I mean, it's still continuous growth seeing, and it was big elections happening, not just in Virginia, New Jersey, New York City, the list goes on. And then we still have midterms. So that's the thing here in Virginia, we have elections every year. We never get any sleep around here, but it's all good. It's all good. What would you say, Lieutenant Governor elect, for those that are crying out for more hope, or just crying out for hope, especially for Virginians, what would you say to them?
Well, I think there's certain categories of hope that people are looking for, and one is a restoration of faith in democracy and the fundamental ideals that people have a voice, and that the voice of every individual is valued in a democratic structure. And that's not unique to this nation. It is a global identity that people place upon America. And so the restoration of that faith in democratic values is very critical. And I think that's one part of the puzzle. But in these very, very anxious times, people want leadership that's focused on making sure that we are responding to the urgency of the moment. And the urgency of the moment is economic, the strain that families are feeling all across the board, whether it's anxiety about jobs and economic stability, the rising cost of housing, as well as basic groceries and prescription medicine, the lack of access to health care, the need for childcare services so that we can continue to ensure that parents have opportunities to work. These are serious anxieties that this election offered a response to. We ran on a ticket to highlight what it is that we have been doing and what we're going to continue to do. For myself personally, I've spent 6 years in the Virginia Senate. Part of my effort has been to invest an additional $2.2 billion in the last biennium into public education. It has been an effort to focus on career and technical programs, linking workforce development to the critical needs all across Virginia. I've been working on housing affordability and healthcare access. So building on the work that I have been doing and ensuring that we continue that record of success and are able to bring real concrete solutions, that is so much a part of the hope that voters have placed in us. And I'm anxious to start that work so we can start delivering to Virginians now.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, being elected as lieutenant governor, for folks that are unaware of some of the roles as a lieutenant governor, that makes you the lead, the president of the Senate. Now that means you have to work with folks from both sides of the aisle. Now, how what's the word I'm looking for? How do you plan on working with both party lines as president of the Senate? How how do you plan on doing that? Because I think we're in a political climate right now where everybody's against each other. Like I feel like bipartisanship is not really very small. You see a small amount of bipartisanship happening in the world of politics. So how do you plan on bringing those two parties together and saying, hey, look, we have a role here, we have a mission, and that is to make sure that Virginia is taken care of first and foremost. Put the party lines aside. We have to focus on Virginians. How do you plan on doing that as a lieutenant governor?
Well, the good news here in Virginia is that we do actually work fairly effectively in a bipartisan manner. And so much of the national divide is not reflected in state government. And that's why I absolutely love the work of state government, because we're focused on the issues that actually impact our communities, the people that we represent. And so we're talking about working on issues for education, making sure we have hospitals and healthcare access for our residents, ensuring that our roads and bridges are sound. We are working on the specific concerns that impact our local constituents. And so in that regard, much of the work is bipartisan. In my first term in the Senate, I represented a rural area alongside a Republican delegate. So we were both representatives of the same constituencies. And in that way, say we oftentimes shared similar perspectives. We were responding to the issues that impacted those constituents and focusing on bringing broadband access, ensuring that there was a clean environment, and building on those schools. And in that same way, I've continued to work across the aisle. For me, these issues really aren't partisan at all. And when we're talking about improving the quality of education, so oftentimes we're also taking a look at what's happening in our rural school districts, which are predominantly represented by our Republican colleagues, alongside our urban school districts, which are predominantly represented by Democrats. But the issues that impact rural schools and urban schools are oftentimes the same, scarcity of resources, difficult time hiring teachers, and making sure that we are modernizing and updating our school structures. And so in that way, we work together. We have common problems. They need common solutions, and they need to have representatives that are fighting for them and not digging into culture wars. Sadly, however, we saw a governor. We continue to see a governor, our current governor, and his administration wanting to stoke those culture war concerns. That has been a failing message. It's a message that the majority of Virginians reject. They want to see pragmatic, real focus on the issues that are directly in front of us. And they understand that those culture war concerns have been just a distraction. It's been a terrible distraction for 4 years. I know I'm ready to get us back on track to where we were prior to the Youngkin administration.
I hear you on that. I've spoken with folks, those that voted Youngkin in and those that are on the opposing side, and they share the same sentiments. They're like, look, what's next here? We're tired of seeing the back and forth banter. We're not hearing on policies. We're not hearing on certain strategies. I was just reading an article which I shared with my audience a few shows ago. Governor Wes Moore in signing an executive order to fund SNAP benefits, joining the state of Virginia as well as DC. You will be taking office during a period where there's been a lot of federal government cuts and federal cuts. And have you and newly elected governor-elect Spanberger, have y'all discussed on what are going to be some of the the plans, and how are we good, not how, but what are we going to do to make sure that, you mentioned rural areas and school districts, but I'm assuming too some of those rural areas also are feeling the effects from those benefits being taken away. Have you and the governor-elect spoken about plans for Virginia?
You're absolutely right. We've got such a wealth of critical issues coming right at us. And I think this administration is coming into office at perhaps one of the most challenging periods in our contemporary history. And so we are facing crises in healthcare, the food insecurity concerns triggered by the disaster that is the Trump administration, responding to the economic challenges in rural Virginia as well as Northern Virginia. And so all of these are massive issues. And one thing that I know is that we're also coming in with a General Assembly that's strongly focused on responding to those economic pressures. And this upcoming week, actually, I'm going to be keeping my Senate hat on. I will be going to the Senate Finance Retreat, where we are going to take a look at what the next 2-year budget is going to look like, and developing solutions. And these have to be innovative solutions. We have historically received necessary federal funding for education, for Medicaid, for infrastructure, and those are critical sources of economic stability for every state. And again, we see that we've got an administration in the White House that only wants to create hardship. And in fact, the federal shutdown, they said, let's make it harder. Let's make people really hungry and really suffer so that they can claim victory. And unfortunately, you've got the wealthiest people in America running on a very cynical desire to harm the most vulnerable. And so in Virginia, we've got to craft a budget that is much more resilient in the face of federal disasters. We've got to ensure that we have the capacity to feed people, to keep jobs open, to respond to the crisis that the tariffs have brought for our small businesses and our employers. These are necessary next steps that we're going to have to really think about, and that's what requires strong state level leadership at this point.
I hear you on that one. I know education is a big, a very huge passion for you, being an educator for so many years. We have, at least I can speak for in Hampton Roads, we have a lot of underfunded public schools. We have some that are closing down permanently. We, in addition to that, we hear a lot of teachers speak on increase in pay. The job as an educator, as a teacher, is a lot. My father is an educator in the Norfolk public schools, and I hear it firsthand every time. It's a struggle. It's a huge struggle because not only are they here to be the teacher, the educator, but you have to deal with the stories that are coming from the students as well, because there's some students that might have a bad living situation heading home, and they look at school as like their safe haven. What are going to be some of your because I know you're passionate about education, and I know you mentioned it a few times earlier in the show. What are some of your goals to help improve education in Virginia?
Yeah, one reason your father and so many of our wonderful educators have felt this increased pressure is that since 2008, the state has woefully underfunded public education. Over $6.6 billion is what our report showed 2 years ago. And so we've been working to address that. Now, one of the biggest accomplishments that we made just this past session in 2025 was to lift the support cap to fully fund our support staffing from the state level. And what that means is that our schools are better able now to hire those critical positions that help to support our educators in the classroom. And that includes critical counseling services. You're right. Our teachers have been managing in heroic ways and responding to the increasing trauma that so many of our young children bring with them into the classroom. They've had to serve as mental health counselors, as surrogate parents oftentimes. And so by increasing the capacity for our underfunded schools to be able to bring in additional staffing, whether it's teacher aides in the classroom or school counselors that are able to work with students with mental health issues, behavioral challenges, all of that is designed to help lift the pressure that has increasingly mounted on our teachers. The second step that we are taking now is also to revise our school funding formula. Virginia is among the last few states now that still continues to follow a 50-year outdated model of funding from the state level. And many states have moved or have transitioned into funding schools based on the student populations that they serve. And this is a direction that we are also moving in now. And I hope that we will accomplish that within the next year. And that is to ensure that those school districts that are serving the students with the highest economic needs, school districts that are serving students with special education needs, as well as those districts that are serving students coming in needing English language skills, that they're going to receive more funding, more resources, so that they can actually support the students that they serve. And that will be transformative for us here in Virginia, shown to be a great benefit and success in so many other states that have already followed that path.
Lieutenant Governor, I'm going to take a quick breather if you don't mind staying with us here. I want to continue this great conversation we're having. For those who are just now tuning in, I welcome to the Arrington Gavin Show. I'm joining with Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, Lieutenant Governor-elect Ghazala Hashmi. We're having a wonderful conversation in regards to, for one, post-election night. Again, it was a historic win in Virginia. But also what's the current plans? As you know, look, we're excited. We're gonna have a good time, come on inauguration and during the election night. But at the end of the day, hey, look, as a voter, it will be a disservice of me to not continue to keep our elected officials accountable and make sure we are aware of what's going to be the plans for Virginia. So look, my friends, do not go anywhere. You're listening to the Arrington Gavin Show. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks.
And we still in traffic.
Don't look familiar, do I? Not in this seat.
Hey, what's that you listening to?
Here to host today.
Hey, turn it up.
With me?
Yeah, this that new GoVerse app. I got you.
So y'all want to know where the goats are? They're off on the sidelines.
Looking for fresh, relevant content wherever you go?
What was the name of that he said?
Introducing GoatVerse TV.
GoatVerse, that's what it's called.
The free streaming app that brings you the best podcasts, current events, and thought-provoking opinions all in one place. Download it now from the Apple Store or Play Store. In Goats, we trust.
Order your beard care products with Rugged Evolution. We're your local beard care line that supports the maintenance of your full, mature beard. Our line includes conditioning shampoos, moisturizers, balms, oils, shaving lotions, and exfoliating soaps. These products moisturize, hydrate, nourish, and have all the natural ingredients for a healthy beard. Log on to our website or download our app to place your orders. Become a man of distinction with Rugged Evolution Beard Care. And remember,
Rugged is the new smooth.
All right, my friends, welcome back to the Arrington Gavin Show. I want to ask you, Lieutenant Governor. It's funny because before this show, I'm over here saying, wait, do I call her Virginia? Do I call her State Senator Hashmi? Do I call her Lieutenant? I'm over here back and forth, and I'm like, okay. I'm gonna stick with Lieutenant Governor. But I want to talk about you mentioned about the diversity factor in Virginia. A lot of folks, when they witnessed this win in election in this recent race, it showed the diversity in the state of Virginia. For a lot of folks that are not familiar with Virginia and that's not from, they probably assuming, I didn't know, Virginia was as diverse, especially looking on this down ballot ticket. Being that Virginia is increasingly becoming diverse, how would your administration ensure equity and inclusion in policy making?
Well, I love that question. Thank you. And, we just started the transition process. And so all three of us, whether it's the Attorney General's office, Governor-elect Spanberger, or myself, we have amazing and strong transition teams in place that are really reflective of a wide range of expertise, a wide range of communities and critical policy areas. So speaking for myself personally, one thing I'm really excited about for my transition process is what I'm calling Virginia's Voices. And many of the folks on my current transition team will also be bringing in additional members. We'll be announcing some more names this upcoming week, but they are going to be my experts and help me build a structure and a platform by which we ensure that all of our communities are represented, that they know that they have a voice and a presence in state government, and that they have access and the opportunity to reach out regarding the issues that impact them. And so this particular part of my transition team, focusing on the vast array of Virginia's voices, is going to help me create that platform and to execute it over the next 4 years. And so when we're thinking about diversity and equity and inclusion, a lot of times people don't understand that these efforts are actually what have ensured that women have voices in so many spaces that they were previously excluded. It is representative of our disabled communities as well, so that we have accommodations and necessary actions and policies to bring everybody into the opportunities that all people deserve. And so that's the goal of this particular part of my transition: build the scaffolding, build the structure so that we can continue the work to ensure that everybody has the representation that they deserve. That translates into effective policy that impacts the wide array of our communities here in Virginia.
I'm so glad you explained, the diversity, equity, and inclusion, because I've mentioned it many times. I'm a huge proponent. I'm very passionate about DEI, and that's one of my issues with this current administration. And just, I wouldn't say all folks, but a good number of them on the right, that they continue to look at it and they describe it as something that's only related to the Black community. And I explain from them time and time again, that's not the case. It might benefit us, but the primary focus was women, and as you mentioned, veterans, are disabled. And so it's that right there blows my mind, because for me, I'm like, wouldn't you want to be in a world where everybody is treated equal? I mean, the United States alone is a very melting pot world, right? We have so many cultures, so many religions, so many different communities, and everybody should feel at ease, at home. They shouldn't feel anxious or look in their back or feel discriminated in any way. But I'm so glad you explained that again, because we're still wrestling with that in our in this current administration right now. And we've even heard time and time again from the previous the current administration here in Virginia. We hear it time and time again. It's just like it's a lot, but I don't want to get too far in that one.
Well, Arrington, if I might say, I think just about every minority community owes a debt of serious gratitude to the Black civil rights movement, the efforts of the Black community to move the needle on efforts of inclusion, making sure that policy reflects and opens doors for every group, has such historic importance. And that's a concern that so many people have forgotten. It's the work of Black civil rights leaders throughout the 20th century that really changed the shape and opportunity for every group. And I think we all ought to acknowledge that and understand the critical role that it's played and continues to play for each of our communities now.
No, I appreciate that, because when it comes to policy, and I shared this with I did a 2-hour kind of like pre-election night special on my streaming platforms, and I had folks from all sides of the aisle on, and I had a buddy of mine who is a Republican. And he was kind of repeating the same thing that our current lieutenant governor was speaking about, how you have the NAACP supporting this individual and this and that and the other. And I'm like, here's the thing. So the NAACP, because I'm a proud member of the Chesapeake chapter here in Chesapeake, Virginia, we support policy. We don't support individuals. And that's again, to add on what you're saying, we focus on the policy that benefits the majority. We don't support any individual. We open the forum to every candidate to come, but just for the sake of, one individual is extremely passionate about those policies, and then there was one that was not so passionate. So you see how that outcome turned out. The majority had spoken. Lieutenant Governor, what steps will you take to improve access to healthcare and mental health services across those undeserved communities that, like we spoken earlier, in those rural communities in Virginia? What are some of the ways that you're hoping to push or improve that that mental health and that healthcare, especially now where we're hearing there's certain folks that might be losing healthcare, which I can't imagine. I can't imagine even speaking that into a sentence, but I believe the statistics were showing like close to 300,000 maybe in Virginia. I could be
Right.
wrong,
No,
but
that's exactly right.
that's okay. So
Yeah.
what are ways that you're hoping to once you're elected, and as well as and I know you can't speak for governor elect, but I know you're all on one team. How do y'all plan on improving those that access?
Well, I'm so glad you brought up the critical mental health support as well as substance abuse recovery programs. You know, the Medicaid funding that we receive here in Virginia has been a very, very critical part in helping us respond to the mental health challenges that we see, as well as helping people get on the road to recovery from substance abuse. And those programs are in peril given the actions of the federal government. So the 300,000 Virginians that you mentioned that will be impacted, that's because of the lack of reauthorization on the premium tax credits that are still waiting for Republican Congress to take action on. This is the reason why Democrats in Washington were fighting so hard and not signing on to the continuing resolution, because they were demanding healthcare access for our communities, and they've been fighting for that. And we need to recognize what the divide is. You've got people who are representing these rural areas, you know, our Republican congressman refusing, and woman, there is a Republican congresswoman refusing to respond with the urgency of the healthcare crisis that's coming at us. And so we need them to step up. We need them to grow a spine. We need them to sign and reauthorize the premium tax credit so that over 300,000 Virginians are able to access healthcare. The way which we are going to continue, you know, we're going to build on the efforts that we have been working on here in Virginia. I've been proud to serve on the Virginia Joint Commission on Healthcare. I've been a vice chair of that for the past 2 years. And our focus really has been on healthcare disparities and on lack of access, especially for our rural communities. And we have expanded that kind of outreach through mobile clinics, through telehealth services, through remote patient monitoring. You know, a couple of years ago, I carried a bill that helps pregnant women be able to get ultrasounds and to monitor the health of their fetus through remote patient monitoring. Those kinds of employments of innovation and technology are helping us to address the healthcare disparities, but they're not the full solution. What we need is an investment in healthcare. Other countries have been able to do that. There's no reason why any American, any Virginian should not be able to access healthcare. It's time for us to separate healthcare access from employment. Right now, if you don't have a job, you don't get healthcare coverage. And a lot of times, even if you do have a job, that's a benefit that's still denied to you. This is simply wrong for a modern country. We have to do better.
I couldn't agree more on that. That's something new I just found out. I did not know that. So if you don't have a job, you don't have access, but then if you do have a job, it's still, I mean, it's like, what are we doing? Wow, that's a hard pill to swallow, because I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine who serves on a local outreach center and I'm just, I'm always just curious. I'm like, hey, look, we have a homeless rate here in Virginia, but specifically in Hampton Roads, and folks will just assume that, okay, maybe it was addiction that's the primary cause of them going homeless, or he's like, actually loss of health care. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? He's like, no, if you can't afford healthcare, man, it's the rest, the rest can really add on to there. So it really blew my mind, the fact that we're in a time now where and it's sad to say, but we see our senior citizens that are losing that health care. I guess the follow-up question to Lieutenant Governor will be, what's some of the goals for the seniors in Virginia? Because I think that's really a target, demographic that feels overlooked when it comes to these elections. Like any goals that you would like to see as elected, that will benefit seniors in Virginia?
Yeah, you're right. Seniors are a demographic that are facing increasing challenges,
Hmm.
and we saw this really clearly with the cuts to SNAP benefits. I really am angry when Republicans paint a picture that people who receive SNAP benefits are just lazy and they're not working. The vast majority of the people who receive SNAP benefits are our seniors. They are our elderly for whom we have a responsibility to take care of. That's fundamental, is that we
Hmm.
take care of our elders when they're no longer able to work. And so our seniors are facing a crisis of hunger. They're facing a crisis of housing security, as well as healthcare challenges. And frankly, our senior population is outstripping our workforce population. So as Virginians, and we're all going to get older. We're all going to need these critical services. As we get older, we have fewer and fewer younger folks who are in place to respond to the larger demographic of aging adults. So one thing we are doing in Virginia, and I think we are taking some good steps, is to think proactively about how seniors can age at home and stay in their homes longer. That reduces costs for our seniors so that they're able to age in place and have a supportive community. A lot of that really requires a volunteer network, and I'm so proud of the kind of volunteer services that I've seen, whether it's in our local food banks and charitable pantries or through healthcare services. But we need more structure so that we are designing and building homes in which parents and elders can age and stay and have caregivers also around them. We need to ensure that as we place our family members into nursing facilities, long-term care facilities, that they are up to standards that we want all of our loved ones to have. We have to build a workforce. We have to increase the skilled nursing workforce. We have to increase home care health workers, and that requires an investment into the training programs, the degree programs, ensuring that we can respond. So those are some of the steps that we are taking, and I will be continuing to focus on, is to expand that pipeline of workforce that is so critical to respond to what the needs of our aging population is going to require.
As we come to a close, for our listeners here, you see the great conversation. I mean, I feel like I could talk for you for hours. In all honesty, I'm a talker. I can't help it. But I always I love to have conversation because I'm always learning. I'm like, that's what I'm always usually locked in when I'm having conversation with folks, and it's continuing learning for me. But what can you say for our young people that are well of age of voting, that are very hesitant, that some of them are not either registered or could say, hey, politics really doesn't care about me, so why even get involved? And I just want to continue to remind them the important conversation we're having here, just discussing the goals for Virginia, but that can also impact this nation. How important is it to build that young people, especially being a former educator? You had young students
Yeah.
that you probably come across that were feeling the same way. How do you increase the numbers of young people getting involved, or at least having an understanding of public office?
I might be the wrong person to ask because the political world is actually full of amazing, talented, really, really smart young people.
Hmm.
And it's been a real privilege for me as an educator. I taught college, and so I absolutely love working with the demographic of young adults, people who are just finding their pathways in life. And similarly now in the government and political spaces that I've been fortunate to be moving in, I encounter such remarkable young people, and they are the ones that inspire me. Their passion, their integrity, their compassion for the world they live in and the people that they want to serve is truly awe-inspiring. And so I've been very blessed and honored to continue that work. But I think, Arrington, if we take a look at the voters in this past election, just Tuesday's election, and I haven't been able to do a deep dive, I think we saw a fairly record number of young voters coming out and really expressing their concerns about the direction of the country, what they want us to prioritize in policies. And as I talk to young folks, they're very apprehensive about the future that they face. Apprehensive to the point that I hear many young folks say they're not sure that they can bring a child into this world. Not just that they can't afford to have children, but they are so apprehensive about the future that they don't know that they want to bring a child into the world. And that breaks my heart. I think my generation in particular has a responsibility to respond to the increasing challenges, whether it's climate change or economic anxieties, that we are building a world, leaving a world in a way that our young people see every opportunity to continue to grow and thrive. That's my personal goal. And so I often react when people say young folks are apathetic or they're not engaged. I see quite the opposite, and I'm so inspired by them. I'm just really eager to continue to work alongside them because they're smart and they have ideas. We need to be listening to the young people, particularly at this moment.
Oh, awesome. Well, Lieutenant Governor-elect, again, I truly appreciate you taking the time out your busy schedule to come here on the show. Please don't be a stranger. And again, I want to congratulate you on a historic win. I think not only just for yourself, but for Virginians and also folks across this nation. The world was watching the Virginia races, and they see the momentum. They see now, hey, look, we cannot stop. We have to keep pushing forward. And I think we're going to start seeing some big changes come midterms. We saw historic wins on the House in Virginia with, I believe, the Democratic Party alone had 61 flipped 13 seats. So I mean, again, it was just it was a lot that happened, at least in Virginia. But I think that can also relate to other states in this country. So again, I truly appreciate it. And we hope to see you in Richmond sometime very soon. And again, thank you for your time. And I just want to, again, don't be a stranger.
Thank you, Arrington. Always good to talk to you. And let me know when you're in Richmond.
We'll do, Lieutenant. We'll do.
Thank you. Take care.
You as well. My friends, I hope you enjoyed yet another great conversation here on the Arrington Gavin Show. Extremely passionate conversation with the first Muslim woman elected in statewide office in American history, Ghazala Hashmi. Be sure, my friends, to just continue to stay informed. That's all I ask for you. Continue to stay informed. And this is, look, I'm here to support those that are passionate about the community, regardless of if you're a Democrat, regardless if you're a Republican, regardless if you're an independent. If you're passionate about community, if you're passionate about people, if you're passionate about doing what's right and doing your role as a public servant, because at the end of the day, we the people, we have the power, y'all. We have the power. We have the voice. We cannot ease off the gas and not keep our elected officials accountable. That's why when I'm having these conversations with elected officials, look, it's important to ask each and every category and avenue, right? We want to make sure we hit every avenue. I might have forgot some questions because I'm gonna have some more questions that pop up in the head right now. But as always, my friend, look, I hope you enjoyed yet another great conversation here on the Arrington Gavin Show. Be sure to tune into the Arrington Gavin Show weeknights at, on all different platforms, YouTube, via podcast, you name it, you can find us. Peace and blessings, y'all. I'm out.
That's it for tonight on the Arrington Gavin Show. Thanks for tapping in and keeping the conversation alive. Don't forget, stay connected with us on all platforms. Follow at Arrington Gavin on Instagram, Blue Sky, and X, and subscribe to the official Substack for exclusive takes and deep dives you won't get anywhere else. We're here every weeknight, same time, same energy, same real talk. Until next time, stay bold, stay sharp, and stay true. That's what we do on the Arrington Gavin Show. Peace.